Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Hello out there. This is MotorWeek's 43rd podcast, and I'm obviously not John Davis. Our El Capitan is not with us today, but we'll do our best to fill in.
Yes, we will.
With me this week is Word Wrangler Shamit Choksey.
Hey, Brian.
And our FYI reporter, Yolanda Vazquez.
Thank you. I don't get Word Wrangler. I got to come up with something pretty good, huh?
No, you have to be an actual professional writer to come up with that.
I'm not.
Yeah, okay.
Professional wrangler.
Oh,
And I'm, of course, road test producer and occasional podcast host, Brian Robinson. So this week, it looks like we'll be talking about the Paris Auto Show. Recently happened, as well as the Kia Sportage mini crossover we've recently tested, and a look at the Colorado Department of Transportation and what they're doing out there.
Pretty cool things, yep.
All right. Well, you'll just have to wait a minute before we talk about that. First of all, we're going to go to Shamit, who just got back from Paris.
Yes.
And attended the Les Motor Show. So tell
How
us.
did you get that assignment, first of all? I don't even remember it being discussed in the office.
I think he put in for it like way before.
A long time ago. I wanted to
Okay.
go to Paris for a while. And I mean, these auto shows, some of them are really cool and exotic. I've been to Frankfurt, and this is the other one that I've had a chance to go to. But Brian, you've been to some really cool ones. Tokyo, right?
Geneva. Haven't you been to Geneva?
I've been all over the world, blah, blah, blah. But one thing...
Trying to divert here.
One thing I remember about the Paris, the couple times I was there, is the auto show was basically one big smoking section. Is that still the same?
You know what? Yes, a little bit. You know, the press room was one big smoking
It's like cutting
section.
with a knife to get through.
Yeah, there was some of that,
Really?
but I think the non-smoking culture is even moving into France.
That's
and
a shame.
Europe. So yeah, so it wasn't as bad as one would think.
Seriously, what did you see at the show?
I saw a ton of stuff. Let's start with Mercedes. I mean, they were. There's so much to talk about, but I mean, basically, this is what blew me away about the shows. There were a ton of concepts and electric concepts, more than like production cars. There are a few production cars that are relevant to the U.S. market, and I'll mention them. But man, there were like all these insane looking vehicles there that were, for the most part, electric, and they were coming from all over. Kia, Nissan, and then Jaguar had theirs, and Audi. You know, there was electric exotics and exotic electrics, if that makes sense.
The future of electric cars is definitely here.
Totally.
But with these concept cars, I mean, are they viable? I mean, I understand concept cars, but I mean, are they just like, wow, kind of feast for the eyes, or were they something that could actually be made into production?
I mean, I'd like to think that they are, some are just further away from, they never end up in production as they are as a concept, but in some iteration they do, in most cases or many cases. Some of them, like this Kia Pop that you look at, you'd be like, you got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? This thing looks like it's like oblong and triangular at the same time. And you can't even picture that. You know what I mean? It's just crazy looking.
Yeah, I'm getting my geometry going here.
It's really wild. Renault had a really cool thing called the Desir. That was their sort of supercar electric with scissor doors, and it was just a total head turner. Let me start with Mercedes. Mercedes, now, in terms of for the U.S. market, they launched the CLS class, which is going to be coming here next summer. So that's one of the big things that is coming to the U.S. that was relevant to us. Also relevant to us here in stateside would be the BMW X3.
Are they changing the design on that? What are they doing with that?
Yeah, it's a little larger but lighter. So it's the second generation X3.
Okay.
Ford's coming out with a new Focus. It's called the ST, the Ford Focus ST. It's like
are we going to actually get that here?
I believe we are getting that here next year. Something called so Porsche has a 911 Speedster. Very cool open top. They're only making 356. Only 100 of them are coming to the U.S. But hey, 100 lucky guys.
Right.
They're like lucky people.
Lucky people. Thank you for changing the words there.
And what else? Anything else for the U.S.? God.
Yeah, obviously the European brands make a big
They do. I don't want to leave out Land Rover. Land Rover has the Evoque that's coming here based on the LRX.
That was the production version of it?
The Evoque is the production version of the LRX concept. The smallest Land Rover It'll be the smallest Land Rover offering, also the first front drive offering.
Because the previous the previous small Land Rovers always did so well, right? Like the Freelander and all those.
Well, this is sort of the Freelander replacement. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
front drive, so it's like a crossover more so. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, I heard people say, "Wow, without the badge, I wouldn't even know that's a Land Rover."
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check it out. Check out, obviously.
I wonder what they thought it was if they didn't think it was a Land Rover.
Right, exactly. I'm sure you get a few varying opinions. And then, of course, the Italian Stallions made their showing. The Lamborghini, of course, came with the Sesto. Ferrari came with the Esse Aperta. And Maserati came with the Gran Turismo MC Stradale. That's how you say it.
Very nice.
All three of those cars are just
insane.
Insane, and they were just showstoppers. They were in the limelight. Everybody was. It looked like red carpet.
And it's impossible to get shots of them because there's always like 600 people. That's true. Trying to get their picture taken.
I was able to get shots, but I really had to fight through, and I had to wait till the crowds died down a little bit and such. But
I found that as the day goes on, the first couple hours at the press conferences, everyone's kind of nice and oh no, you go ahead after you. Right. But then, like at the end of the day, everyone's just like pushing and shoving and trying to get a shot.
They're totally frustrated with each other, and everybody just wants to go back to their hotel. But no, it was cool, and actually, all three of those we shot, and you'll see them on the Motor News segment that will be airing here shortly. So
check your local listings.
Yeah, check your local listings. So that's it. Paris was awesome. And
did you get to go do anything fun? Anything Parisian?
I walked around a little bit.
Eiffel Tower,
I saw the Eiffel Tower from a distance, but there was some weird. Terror activity going on when I was there.
Oh, no.
So they had shut down that. They had shut down the Eiffel Tower. So, it was fine though. I felt the air and the power that Paris is. It was a beautiful place, and I just really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the vehicles too.
All right. Well, speaking of air and power, let's talk about the Kia Sportage.
Good segue there.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but recently we had a Kia Sportage in, and I think this is probably the biggest growing market right now is the small crossover. And if not the biggest, one of the biggest, certainly. A lot of new cars out there, new Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, Nissan Juke, of course, Jeep Compass, Volkswagen Tiguan, Hyundai Tucson. A lot small crossovers. Everyone wants the utility of the crossovers, but wants a little better gas mileage.
Right.
Did you drive the
I drove it. I think, first of all, it's a really nice looking car. I mean, you're like, man, Kia made this?
Very similar to the Sorento.
Is it? Okay.
Just a little bit scaled down.
Yeah.
Similar front end.
It still has a sort of a sculpted feel to it. I think it's pretty roomy from the inside too in terms of for utility purposes. I think my only contention with it was, I felt that it felt underpowered.
Yeah, definitely. What was the fuel economy, though? I imagine probably highway is probably close to 30.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but I think it was close.
Everyone else seems to be like the golden number. Everyone wants to get highway numbers up to 30. I think I didn't spend a whole lot of time in it, but I remember the interior. All the Hyundais and Kias, all the Korean cars, they've been batting 1,000 really lately with all their products, and the interior was extremely nice for the price point, which. In that regard, the prices I think are sneaking up a little bit on this thing.
What's the price point?
I think it starts at 18 and tops out probably at 25, somewhere around there.
Yeah, mid to maybe even creeps into the high 20s. Yeah, absolutely.
So when you think of the other cars that you can get for that price, do you think it'll compete in that class? I mean, think it'll do pretty well?
Well, I mean, it's still a Kia, so it's still, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's still going for value here. I mean, it's Kia and Hyundai are still the value leaders, and I think from a price point standpoint, you're not going to find anything lower than 18 that is going to be able to compete with this thing.
That seems to be kind of where they're all starting right around 18. I know the Juke is certainly probably the best handling one that we've had in so far in that class. But the Kia Sportage certainly not as good a handler, but it is almost mid-size, roomy.
Yeah,
it's almost. Just because of price, it's being compared to these others, but it's almost a CRV RAV4 sized.
Yeah, and it has a decent ride. Like you said, handling, it suffers a little bit. Power, it suffers a little bit. But ride-wise, it's comfortable. I didn't have any issues with it. It's smooth. A little bit of body roll, but...
Would you buy one?
I'm really starting to like the Kia and Hyundai. I mean, the Koreans are really knocking it out the ballpark with their vehicles. I did not, unfortunately, get a chance to test this particular vehicle. I must have been traveling or something. But I did get to see it out in the parking lot, and it looked pretty stylish. I mean, as stylish goes for one of these kind of vehicles. It looked fine by me. I would have loved to have had the opportunity to kind of ride it and see what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and head out to Colorado. Recently, Yola, you were out there working with the Department of Transportation, I believe. And
yeah, I was. The Colorado Department of Transportation, they are doing some really cool things, a concerted effort to use a lot of real-time traffic conditions, the latest technology. They're really trying to inform their travelers of what's going on, not just from a metropolitan perspective, not just Denver, not just Boulder. I mean, they're really trying to do it from a statewide perspective, which is really cool. They call it ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems, sort of just a fancy name for all the technology that they're using. But
we like fancy names here.
Yeah, like fancy names sound good. Doesn't tell you what you're really talking about. But their motto is, we say that an informed traveler is a happy traveler. And they have over 9,000 highway miles and about a little bit more than 20 major interstates that they're monitoring. And it's this Colorado Traffic Management Center. They've got 400 cameras set up throughout the state, similar to what you see in other states, but they're really doing their due diligence to make sure that they're letting their travelers know about everything that's happening at a moment's notice. For example, here in our area, we have those LED boards, and you probably see them all around the country with the message boards that go up, traffic delay, 20 minutes, traffic accidents.
Right. Report aggressive driving.
Right, all that good stuff. Well, we got to see how all that happens, and it's a number of ways, interestingly enough. You have some of the state police that are calling into the Colorado Traffic Management Center. You have actual drivers who report incidences, and the minute they get the information, they pass it out. Another thing that they have is, and all of this is done through fiber optic technology, which is dug 4 feet underground, and all of that's going on behind the scenes that you don't even know about. But the other thing they do is they have these 511, where you can call 511 from your phone and get an update of the latest road conditions, traffic conditions, lane closures, seasonal closures, everything.
Are you allowed to dial that while you're driving?
I don't know if Colorado has. I know here in Maryland we can't be doing that. That needs to be a hands-free system. But actually, that 511 system is something that's a federal program. So there are a number of states like California, or San Francisco is the city, but there are a number of other states that use this 511. I think I was looking online. Minnesota has it. Actually, here in Maryland, we have 511 we can call. So they also give wireless alerts. So if you go online, they have a website called cotrip.org. And if you go online and you type in your email address, they will, and you say, listen, I really want to know about traffic around such and such area, they will send you a wireless alert. So they'll send you a text message if there's an accident, or they will send you an email if there's an accident in your area to let you know that there's going to be a delay. The other thing they have, which was really cool, I don't think this is something that a lot of other states have, is they have these kiosks. So they would have a huge 37-inch screen or something, really a TV screen, that would have all of the traffic generating on it. So, and these kiosks are set up at travel stops along the highway for truck drivers. They had them set up at information centers around the highway, and it lists the latest traffic information right there. So if you pulled into one of these traffic stops, these little, off the highway things, you can find out the latest information from them.
Is it telling you things that are happening even 50, 60 miles down the road, or is it just...
It's telling you things. It's not so much in advance as it is happening or it just happened.
Okay.
Yes.
But even if it's that far out, sorry.
Yeah, with a traffic camera, I'm sure they could be able to pull something up and say, hey, look, we noticed that there's a backup here. And remember, with Colorado, it's very recreational based. Right. So these are folks who love to be hiking, biking, going up to the ski areas. Right. So that's the other thing that they're doing that you don't see elsewhere, is they're doing all these estimated travel times. Right. So they're trying to let you know that if you're in the city of Denver and you want to get up to someplace there, Vail, or for instance, it's going to take you double the time. Right. Apparently, that's a huge thing in Colorado. Traffic is insane. Everybody wants to go to the ski areas Friday after work, and everybody wants to come back Sunday night.
Very limited options as far as roads to get there. Right.
Very limited options.
So when you say it's real-time information, like how close to real-time is it?
They have streaming video on their websites, literally of certain areas. You can click on something and you can watch the cars as they pass by, as it's actually passing by.
I was sitting in the Buick Regal. We had that in recently. I don't know if you remember. And I was sitting on the Beltway in traffic for like 10 minutes. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there, and finally this lady comes on over the radio. She's like, traffic ahead.
No,
like,
duh.
Yeah, Right. So hopefully it works a little better than that system.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool stuff to be able, you experience it, and it's enough to make your blood boil when you're out there. We all go through traffic no matter where we live in this country, but to know that they're really doing their due diligence to try to get that information out. I mean, it was pretty cool to kind of see the behind-the-scenes effort, so to speak.
Yeah, more, a whole statewide. That's pretty interesting. Should be a good story.
Yeah, pretty
Look
good
forward
stuff.
to it.
The guys were pretty cool out there, so.
All right, moving right along. Time for our lightning round question. This week's question is, this is a long one, so bear with me here. The government recently released the results of the first model year 2011 vehicles tested under the new enhanced 5-star safety rating system. Vehicles are now evaluated for side pole crash testing and crash prevention technologies. Only 2 2011 cars, the BMW 5 Series 4-door and a rear-wheel drive model, and the Hyundai Sonata received 5 stars. Was more rigorous testing needed, and what impact will the new rating systems have on car sales? So after all that, the testing has gotten harder, and will that help cars, and will that help sales?
Well, less important than sales, are the drivers and occupants. If it helps, reduce injuries and save lives, then I'm a big safety advocate. So I think this is a good thing. Now, I know it threw some people for a loop because, from what I understand, Toyota Camry got 3 stars. It kind of blew people away. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what happens is these cars, people say, you want to survive a crash, tell me what kind of crash you're going to have, and we'll design the car that you can withstand that crash. So, it's a guessing game for them until they come up with these specific tests.
Right.
And then the manufacturers design cars to pass these specific tests,
right,
which may or may not reflect an actual accident.
Right.
So, yeah, they changed the test, and not everyone had studied hard enough, basically.
And it's not just that. It's not just about how much a car can withstand a collision. Now they're looking at crash avoidance. Like what does a car have that, Volvos, for instance, or Mercedes cars, they have the technologies aboard now that will help avoid an actual accident, which in the end is as important as having structural integrity.
There are a number of things I want to point out about the test, but let's just take it from a consumer perspective. I think that a lot of people, women in particular, really pay close attention to this kind of data. We're looking at the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. We're looking at NHTSA ratings. We really want to know. But truth be told, and I've covered these kinds of stories before, I really had to dig deep and look at the specific tests that they were doing, the crash data. Look, new tests, better crash data, win-win for consumers and car manufacturers all the way around. But the thing that I found was, I don't know if anyone's really going to say, how does this vehicle safety rating system really, really differ? And they've kind of outlined it, 3 main areas from the past one. I think the most consumers are going to go, is it a 4 or a 5?
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? I think that they're looking at the higher number, and I don't know if it's really going to matter that it's more rigorous testing for them. It's better for all of us in the end.
Right.
The other things to point out is this is the first time that NHTSA is going to use female crash dummies instead of just men dummies. So that this is very good.
Amen to that.
Yeah, amen to that. To simulate the crash scenarios. So that's something that's very important, because obviously our body structure is very different. With the new testing, not all previously rated 5-star vehicles will remain 5 stars, as we've seen in this, because Toyota.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everything was basically a 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
So
it really
it makes it more difficult.
So they get to the point where they kind of have to raise the bar and say, okay, now that test is harder. Not everyone's going to automatically pass.
Right. Well, you expected everybody to be 5-star, then. What's the point? You know what I mean?
If everybody's on par.
Yeah, you can't be a manufacturer and expect to sell any cars if you're going to put out something that's not 5 stars.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think that would be the bell.
Thanks, Michelle.
I was about out of stuff to talk about anyway. Good timing overall. Okay, now time for our viewer question. And once again, a reminder, if you do send us a question and we read it here, you will get a MotorWeek t-shirt. And it is awesome. Trust me on that. And it looks like we got another long one here, so bear with me once again.
Oh, wait, who's it from?
This is from Bill in Delaware.
Oh,
thank you for asking, Mr. Safety. I've been, congratulations on your 30th anniversary at MotorWeek. I've been with you all the way. Well, I appreciate that, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. My question. My wife has a 1994 Toyota Corolla LX with driver and passenger front airbags. There's a sticker on the driver's door jamb that says, SRS airbags need to be inspected every 10 years. The Toyota dealer said they don't have any idea what to do. Can you help? By the way, the car has only 68,000 miles. Well, it's a kind of a long drive from Delaware over here to see us, Bill, so I'm not sure we can help. But, what do you think? Were you guys familiar with the...
I mean, I've never seen that. Have you seen that tag before?
No,
have you seen that label?
No, I have not. And I think I asked around system mechanic guys, and they were always kind of like, it's inspecting the airbags is kind of like inspecting the trunk. I mean, if it's there and you can't see anything wrong with it, then there's nothing you can do. But
I mean, that might have been like back in '94. Maybe it was just part of the guidelines of what they had to put on there.
Right.
I mean, but it is a legitimate concern. I mean, you're looking at this and you're going, okay, well, it's been more than 10 years. I mean, I want to make sure that this thing does still work.
Correct, but I don't know if there's something you can plug into them that can do like a safety system check. But
did you? I was just about to say, did you? I was almost about to start talking to Bill, but obviously he's not going to answer.
He is listening, I guarantee it. So
Bill,
feel free.
Maybe you should call the manufacturer directly rather than
the
dealership. You know, I mean,
it's kind of odd that the dealer would be like, "Well, sorry," you know.
Yeah, but from a manufacturer standpoint, there might be a little bit more of a liability issue.
Correct,
so they might.
So if there's a malfunction of the airbags 10 years after the date, they're like, "Hey, we put a sticker on there."
That's exactly right. Yeah.
No, that's actually not a bad idea. I've never heard of anything like that either. And I would imagine, since Bill didn't put it in there, the car hasn't been any, quote, accidents to the point where the airbags have deployed to test anything out. So.
Right. And we suggest you don't try and test it yourself.
Right. Bill. Yes, please.
There's been stories of, getting 20-year-old cars out of junkyards that have been sitting there and, firing off the airbags, and they work. I mean, I think they're pretty... Yeah. There's certainly no maintenance you can do. And
so death taxes airbags, is that the reliability test?
I'm not sure. Anything with safety, I'm up for. I know that. So congratulations. So, Bill, we probably didn't help you at all there, but...
well, call the manufacturer, Bill. I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, there's a number in your owner's manual. Say, hey, I got the sticker. Dealer's not helping me out.
And I'll tell you one other thing. Let's just, since we have Bill on the phone, call NHTSA, NHTSA. That might be a good place to start. At least start at their website, email them, and they may have some suggestions because they are the safety experts.
And I certainly wouldn't worry about driving around.
No,
I'm sure
I'm
sure your airbags will function properly at this point.
And if I can put in one last recommendation, just keep a record of the people you spoke to, either at the manufacturer or NHTSA, just so that you have us. Yes, all three of us. Yeah, that's going to help you a lot. Just to make sure that you say you did speak with so and so, and you did your due diligence to check in on it. So I think that's also helpful.
Right on. Well, it looks like we made it through that, or for the most part anyway.
We're still breathing.
So I'd like to thank our audio engineer, Jim Bigwood, podcast creator, Bob Mixter, and our most excellent producer, Michelle Parker.
Yay!
Thanks for tuning in, and keep watching MotorWeek.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.